If you grew up in the 70s and 80s, there's a good chance you spent your Saturday mornings parked in front of the TV watching a huge block of programming that was aimed directly at you. Watching what felt like an endless supply of cartoons was amazing, even if it was just a way to get you to buy toys or teach you lessons in morality. It was a magical time that is hard to explain to anyone who was born after. There were so many cartoons released at the time, it's only natural that some of them didn't catch on. Here's 5 Saturday morning cartoons that you may have missed or forgotten about. Groovy Ghoulies. Groovy Ghoulies was about a group of monsters that live in Horrible Hall, a boarding house for monsters. The Ghoulies, for the most part, are caricatures of many of the famous Universal monsters: Dracula, Frankenstein, Wolfman, and so on. Each episode had the Ghoulies getting into all sorts of hijinks that would usually lead to them playing an original song or two. The series premiered on September 12, 1970 on CBS. The foundation of the show started back in the 60s. The Universal monsters were re-entering pop culture, and animation studio Filmation took notice. The show was originally called Monster Inn, which evolved into the much more hip-sounding Groovy Ghoulies. They saw the success of Scooby-Doo and thought they could do something that focused on monsters doing silly things, so the Groovy Ghoulies was born. During its initial year, it was the highest-rated kids program. Although for some reason, after the first season run on Saturdays, they moved the reruns to Sundays and canceled the series. The show ran for one season with 16 episodes. The final one aired on December 26, 1970. While the show was canceled, it lived on, being shown as new shorts during Sabrina the Teenage Witch in 1972 and 73. They ran 16 shorts over the course of the year. Then again in 1977, the Groovy Ghoulies appeared in 2 episodes of the new Archie and Sabrina Hour. The show went into syndication in 77 and was included in an anthology called Groovy Ghoulies and Friends. It ran for over 100 30-minute episodes. Each episode ran a segment from the Groovy Ghoulies, along with cartoons from other Filmation series, such as The New Adventures of Gilligan and My Favorite Martian. In 1978, there was talk of a Groovy Ghoulies movie, but it never happened. The show was released on DVD in 2006 with lots of special features. It's only the original 16 episodes and not the specials, though. It's been re-released on DVD a few more times, and in 2012 they included the 16 shorts with Sabrina, the complete animated series. The show is not available for streaming, but the series is on YouTube. Pole Position. Pole Position's about a family of stunt-driving, crime-fighting race car drivers. They operate as the Pole Position Show, which is sponsored by the U.S. government, which allows them to track criminal activity from around the country. The series was based on the video game Pole Position, and aside from race car driving, it has nothing else in common. The series premiered on September 15, 1984 on CBS. The show was produced by the animation studio DeK, in conjunction with the Japanese studio MK Company. For a Saturday morning cartoon based on a racing arcade game, the foundation of the show was pretty dark. The show was about the stunt-driving family, the Darretts, who had 3 children. The parents died in a car accident, so the kids take over the business along with their uncle. Taking a cue from Knight Rider, the show had cars that were run with AI. A red and black Ford Mustang called Wheels, and a light blue car called Rhodey. Wheels was voiced by Melvin Franklin of The Temptations, while Rhodey was voiced by actor Daryl Hickman. The show ran for one season with 13 episodes. The final episode aired on December 8, 1984. The show was released on DVD in the US as a combo pack with Cops and 10 episodes of Jace and the Wheeled Warriors. This was only 10 of the 13 episodes. A lot of companies do this for some reason. Years later, in 2016, Mill Creek released another compilation with a disc that included the 3 missing episodes. The show isn't available for streaming, but you can buy the series digitally on Apple TV and Vudu. The series is also available on YouTube. Here Comes the Grump. No, this is not a series about Josh Hadley. Here Comes the Grump is about a grumpy wizard that puts a gloom spell on the kingdom of Princess Dawn. Each episode revolves around the princess and her friend Terry, who are trying to find a magical key that will break the spell and restore the kingdom. The Grump was voiced by the flamboyant comic Rip Taylor. The character of the Grump was based on Yosemite Sam. Both were created by American animator Fritz Frelling. Frelling either introduced or developed numerous characters for Warner Brothers, including Bugs Bunny, Porky Pig, Speedy Gonzalez, and others. After Warner Brothers closed their animation studio, Frelling partnered with David H. D. Petit and founded De Petit Frelling Enterprises. One of the many shows they produced was Here Comes the Grump. On top of that, DFE animator Nelson Shin was responsible for creating the look of the Lightblade portion of the lightsabers in the original Star Wars. Here Comes the Grump premiered on September 6, 1969 on NBC. The show was split into 2 cartoons per episode, so each airing had 2 10-minute cartoons. The show sadly just never caught on and only lasted 1 season. They were expecting to get picked up for another season, but the series was canceled, so it ended on a cliffhanger. Dawn and Terry never found the crystal key, so in the end, the Grump won. The series ran for 1 season with 17 episodes. The last one aired on April 25th, 1970. The show continued on in reruns for the rest of the year. In the 90s, it was picked up and ran on the Sci-Fi Channel in its early days. In 2006, the show is released on DVD, and it's currently still in print. The show is not available for streaming, but the full series is on YouTube. In 2018, there was a CG remake originally called Here Comes the Grump, which was later changed to A Wizard's Tale. It did not do well. Inch High Private Eye. Inch High Private Eye is about a 1-inch tall private eye. He works with his normal-sized niece Lori, her boyfriend Gator, and their dog Braveheart. The trio solves mysteries in the Hushmobile, a car that can operate without making a sound. They work for the Pinkerton Detective Agency, which is a goof on the Pinkertons, a private detective agency started in the U.S. in the 1850s that most people thought went away years ago. However, I and a lot of people found out that they are still around due to the gigantic PR disaster of Wizards of the Coast hiring them to strong-arm a YouTuber who received some Magic the Gathering cards ahead of their official release. Anyway, the show was produced by Hanna-Barbera, but was different from their other shows. While many of their programs were about teenagers, like Scooby-Doo and Johnny Quest, this show focused on adults. The show premiered on September 8, 1973 on NBC. The main character was an homage to Maxwell Smart of the TV series Get Smart, even going so far as to have the voice actor, Lenny Weinrib, doing an imitation of Don Adams. It turned out kids didn't want to watch a show about adults, even if it was something as outlandish as this, and the show was canceled. It lasted for 1 season with 13 episodes. The last one aired on December 1st, 1973. The show was played in syndication on various networks. The character popped up in other cartoons over the years, usually as a goofy reference in a bumper for Cartoon Network, or a joke in Harvey Birdman, Attorney at Law. He recently had a voice-only cameo in the series Velma. The less said about that show, the better. On April 24th, 2012, Inch High Private Eye was released on DVD, but it's a burn-on-demand and not the best quality. Still, at least it's out there. The show isn't available for streaming, but you can buy the series digitally on Apple TV, Amazon, and Vudu. Aside from some clips, the show is not on YouTube. Young Sentinels. Young Sentinels is about a trio of kids that were given eternal life and transported to another planet. While there, they're granted superpowers and trained in order to return to Earth as its protectors. The show premiered on September 10th, 1977 on NBC. The show was produced by animation studio Filmation. The series revolved around the 3 kids, Hercules, Mercury, and Estrella. They work with Sentinel-1, a sentient supercomputer, and Mo, a service droid that is in charge of maintaining Sentinel-1. Mo is also the show's comedic relief. Apparently, the name Young Sentinels wasn't drawing in the audience the network had hoped for, so the studio needed to do something to fix that. It was late 1977, and Star Wars was huge. So as a way to draw in that crowd, they retitled the show to Space Sentinels, part of the way through the first season. Although the show was already fully produced, so the characters in the show are still referred to as the Young Sentinels and not the Space Sentinels. The rebranding didn't work, and the show quickly ended. The show lasted for 1 season with 13 episodes. The last one aired on December 3rd, 1977. In 1978, Filmation took the Space Sentinels idea and made a very similar show, The Freedom Force, which only lasted 5 episodes. Like pretty much every other animated series, Space Sentinels went into syndication and played on various channels over the years. On August 22, 2006, the series was released on DVD. They went the extra mile and gave the footage a full restoration. They also included the 5-episode Freedom Force and some other extras. Unfortunately, the DVD is now out of print. The show is not available for streaming, but the full series is on YouTube. That's another 5 shows. Considering the volume of canceled cartoons, I'll be revisiting this topic more than a few times. See you all next time. Stay tuned.
Agatha and her silly horoscopes. There's no such thing as an unlucky day.